grew my rental car business to over $50,000 in less than 3 years, and I did so while getting 300 5-star Google reviews and 550 5-star reviews on Turo. And this wasn't an accident. There's this idea floating around that the rental car business is dead or that you shouldn't start a rental car business in 2026. Here's the thing. It's not the industry itself that's dead. It's simply the old way of doing things. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you guys through the 5 biggest lessons I've personally learned while growing a car rental business in this new era. The mental shifts, the systems that actually matter, and the traps that cause most rental owners to think that the industry is actually dead when it's really not. Let's get into it. So investor-owned vehicles are what can actually bring your rental business to the next level, but you have to be very careful. Now, I learned this the hard way when I aggressively defleeted for the winter time and we were left with about 10% of our own vehicles. And I quickly learned that that model was not really sustainable. Let's say you have 10 investor-owned vehicles, each vehicle is generating about $1,000 in monthly revenue. You get 35% of that, that's about $3,500. Now, how about if you had 30 investor-owned vehicles? I mean, sure, the $10,500 a month doesn't sound too bad, but now you're managing 30 investor-owned vehicles. And when you really look into it, it gets pretty close to impossible to really manage this on your own. So let's be realistic now. At this volume of a fleet, you're gonna be running around all day, every day. From mechanic shops to deliveries to dealing with stolen cars and damage claims, it becomes a lot. And let's not even forget that you might have 30 investors that at times you have to literally babysit. So at this point, you're gonna have to bring on your first team member. And when you start to factor in things like workers' comp, the services you pay for, rent, all your overhead, you slowly start to realize that you're not really left with much cash. So it's super important to have a variety there between your own cars and investor vehicles. Or honestly, this is quickly gonna turn into a charity. Now, what's the best strategy for this? Now, me personally, I like to have about 60% investor vehicles and 40% my own vehicles. The investor vehicles, the whole point of it is to kind of have nicer vehicles, so you're kind of building the brand for yourself. And then you can take the money you're generating from those vehicles and put them into your own cash cars. And you can buy maybe 2013 to 2017 vehicles, lower miles. They don't have to look as nice because the investor-owned vehicles are ultimately gonna be your brand image, and you wanna make sure that those vehicles look somewhat nicer than the cash cars that you have. Now for me, figuring out the whole strategy there between investor-owned vehicles and my own cash cars truly allowed me to really scale, be more profitable, and even step out of operation. Lesson number 2, Google reviews. I'm not exaggerating when I say that Google reviews can literally make or break your business, especially in the automotive industry. Now, with any business that you start, you always have to really sit and think, why are people gonna choose me versus the people who have been doing this for years and years and years? So you have to really find out what you're gonna do to make you stand out from competition. And for me, I realized quickly that it was Google reviews. And once we hit about 30 5-star Google reviews, we quickly noticed how much of a difference that was truly making. I mean, I would literally have clients calling me and saying, hey, I saw you guys have great Google reviews. I wanted to see if you guys have a vehicle available. And if you guys just Google car rental near me, you're gonna quickly find out how easy it is to dominate the rental industry when it comes to Google reviews. In fact, a recent study by Soci AI highlights exactly how important Google reviews can be, especially in the automotive industry. The first interesting finding was that just a single star increase in your Google review rating, such as going from 3 to 4 stars or even 3.5 to 4.5, boosted conversions by 44%. Just think about what a 44% bump in your conversions would actually do to your business. And on top of that, they found something interesting that's specific to our industry. They looked at the average rating for businesses across an industry and found that automotive businesses had some of the lowest average ratings across the board. Now that's good news for you and me, because it means our 5-star reviews go such a long way, especially when our competition has such low ratings. But honestly, the point of all this isn't just for more conversions. It's for a better connection with your customers. Now, my number one thing is always treating customers like they're actually human beings versus just treating them like a bank. I mean, my goal was to always be the best at everything that I did, and that ultimately leads me to providing the best service to my customers. Now, don't get me wrong, in the early stages, I would literally bend over backwards for customers just to make sure that they had a 5-star experience. And in a lot of cases, there are things that I did that I would refuse to do now, but it got me to where I am today. But regardless, if a customer has a bad experience with us, I always want to make sure I do everything I can to prevent a bad review from happening. And if you're gonna make a mistake, which we all do, you're better off refunding a $200 reservation than getting a bad review and starting off with a bad reputation. Especially if you're in a small community, I promise you word gets around really, really fast. But even in a large community, your competition is so much greater, and you always want to make sure that you have happy customers. Now, don't get me wrong, you can't always only have happy customers, but the way that you handle things heavily affects that. But regardless, small community, large community, we come to the same conclusion that Google reviews can make or break your business. Now on to lesson number 3, brand awareness. So from day number 1, you always want to make sure that everyone not only knows you, but also knows your company. You want to be known locally as either the car rental guy or the car rental girl, because this really is just a snowball effect. You want to take every opportunity you can to make sure that your name is out there. Every single person you meet, hand them a business card. Every time you get a happy customer, ask them for a referral or to keep you in mind anytime anybody they know or hear needs a rental car. Your goal is to establish yourself as the only good option. Now think about it, there's thousands of car rental companies across the country. And what makes you think that you'll stand out if you're not focused on brand awareness? Now, before my brand was established, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty tough. In the beginning, no one's gonna trust you. A lot of people might hesitate to give credit card details over the phone. Nobody knows if your cars are even reliable. And a lot of people are truly just concerned about getting hit with bogus post-trip charges once their reservation ends. And that might make people hesitate and just go with the big guys or choose a more established company. And I truly noticed the difference myself. I mean, before our brand was more established, it felt like people were questioning us over the phone. I mean, they would be asking me questions about what kind of cars do you have? How many miles do they have? And ultimately I realized it's just because my brand was not well established. And honestly, it's pretty easy. Get a good logo, get a good website. I know a guy. Get good clothing, put your logo on it, put nice text on the back, make it look professional, don't make it look sloppy. I mean, just these small things are what truly establish your brand. And once our reviews got past 50, our website was nice and professional, and I truly treated customers like family, I noticed very quickly how much we were just snowballing. The way that you present yourself online is huge. Just having the respect from customers goes such a long way. Even adding photos of happy customers with their cars to your Google listing. I mean, people are ultimately gonna go on Google and they're gonna see that slideshow of photos. And think about it, every time you go to rent a car, you're looking on Google. I know we're kind of backtracking to my previous lesson here, but ultimately Google reviews are also a huge part of your brand awareness. So I promise, if you guys just sit and analyze what you're doing for brand awareness, how are you guys setting yourselves apart from the competition? You truly just analyze it and figure out how to improve it. Once you execute it, implement those improvements, you're gonna notice so much more growth. Now, lesson number 4, systems. Systems are the pillar of scaling. I learned this the hard way when I hired my first employee. I spent hundreds and maybe even thousands of hours training this person across over a year about everything I ever learned. And the number one thing I regret is not taking everything I was actively teaching them and putting it into SOPs or documenting it. And the only regret I have outside of that is not doing it before I hired that person as well. Because I realized that I spent hundreds of hours training one person how to be an A player, and now that person's no longer there. And I have to just teach everything that I taught to this person to an entirely new employee. And that takes so much time. So I quickly learned the hard way that systems, SOPs, having things documented is huge, and it's ultimately gonna save you all that time in the future. Now today, when an employee is having an issue or they don't know how to do something, they refer to the SOP, they refer to training documents. They essentially have the answer to everything right in front of them. So if you can truly create the right systems, it'll not only allow you to scale, but it'll ultimately allow you to just pull out of operations eventually and scale from the back end, or you can just keep things running the way that they are. So every time that there's something that happens with your business, you always want to write down what happened in a document and how you solved it. Because one day when the new person that you hire is going to have that same issue, they're either going to do two things. They're either going to call you, or if you're smart, they're going to refer back to the docs that you made them, and they're going to have their answers right there. So don't be like me and wait for something to break before you fix it. Start from the beginning. And all of us business owners, we handle things our own ways. So if you handle something a certain way that you've realized works for you, you always want to make sure that it's written and stored in a safe place, so that one day when you do hire somebody, you have them spend some time looking at all the SOPs, look at all the documents, and have them prepare for moments like that. You can even do training and sit with them and be like, okay, if something happens, if a customer steals a car, how do you handle it? Now, every situation is different, right? You'll have variables. Customer might just went ghost for 24 hours. A customer might just say, hey, I'm not bringing the car back, I'm abandoning it 5 states away, which has literally happened to us. We've had cars stolen and left abandoned at airports in Pennsylvania and Florida, and we've had to go and retrieve that. Now, if I have those specific events that happened and on that document, essentially they're prepared for anything and everything, right? That there's always going to be one-off situations that you might not be able to prepare them for, but having some kind of structure there in place gives them something to go based off of. In the end, the longer that you delay implementing the right systems, the more it's going to bite you in the ass when it's time to hire. Now, lesson number 5, building a team. Now, there was a moment during peak season one year, and to be fair, there's many moments like this. I remember sitting in my car, engine still running, I'm staring at my phone. I only had 15 cars, that's it. But somehow it felt like everything was on fire all at once. Claim would come in, a maintenance issue, a delivery text, then I'd get a call about a car being stolen. And while I'm driving to handle one problem, 2 more pop up. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't scaling, I was hitting a ceiling. And without a team, you get stretched thin really, really fast, especially in this business. Now, don't get me wrong, you have to be making some kind of money to bring on your first team member, or else you're gonna eat away at all your profit, and you might even be running unprofitable at that point. But there has to be a time when you draw the line and you realize you have to bring somebody onto your team. Now, again, there's variables to this. You might have 15 cars and they're all on monthly rentals where you have 0 involvement, but you might have 15 cars where you have 5 bookings per day, customers are renting for 2 to 5 days, and there's constant turnaround. So you can strategically set up your rental operation in a manner that suits you, right? Now, me personally, I chose the route of doing 2, 3, 4, 5 day rentals because I realized that's where I make the most profit. But I know a lot of rental operators, what they do is they find Uber and Lyft drivers and they put them in a car with weekly extensions, and now they can have 50 cars all on monthly rentals. So you have to really find out what works best for you and what plan of attack you're gonna have. So when you start thinking about bringing on a team member, you have to look at your numbers, you have to look at your stress levels, you have to look at what you're actually doing, and you have to do the math and figure out, am I at a point where I can actually bring a team member on and continue scaling, right? Because you might bring that person on and not be as profitable anymore, or you might just be breaking even. But at the same time, you have to understand that if you add 5 to 10 more cars, you can take on additional workload now and slowly become more profitable than you were before. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to when you're building a team. You have to factor in multiple things to figure out if it's a good idea or not. And you have to have a plan so that when the time does come, you execute and you're able to bring somebody on. And again, you can get creative. You can have a 1099 contractor, you can have a W-2 employee, you can have somebody working 10 hours a week, you could have somebody full-time. So you have to really figure out what your weaknesses are and hire somebody whose strengths are your weaknesses. So you can actually focus on doing what's most important and what's gonna scale the business, and they're gonna focus on doing the stuff that either you hate or you're weak at. And if you'd like me to help you find your weaknesses and implement the best strategy, I'd love to hop on a call with you. It's totally free, it's genuinely just a chat, because I would love to hear the struggles that other rental business owners are having and to see how I can help. And if that sounds good to you, click the top link in my description and set up a time for a quick call. We'll talk soon.